What's up, guys? Iceman here. So this is a new series that I'd like to start out on this channel. Horrifying encounters with primarily other human beings. There's a lot of stories that I've come across online, and I'd like to begin sharing them on this channel. But I warn you, many of them are terrifying. This is my channel, Haunting Tales from the Iceman. So I'd appreciate it if you like this video, subscribe to the page, and let me know what you think about this video format. So before I bore you with all these details, let's get into the first encounter. This story is about an 18-year-old female with aspirations of being a model. I am now 36, with a lot more awareness, but was reminded of this encounter recently. My family relocated from Florida to New Jersey after I graduated high school. There was a lot of debate as to why I also needed to go, since the school I wanted to attend was in Rhode Island. My parents noticed that they had a Miami campus, so the discussion was over from that point on. I was sheltered, and they usually said no to the things I wanted to do. So when I started my classes, I decided to get a job to help pass the time. My parents hated the idea because it took me away from coming home on the weekends or going to events with them, as well as it being a distraction from school. There was a mall nearby, a big one, and I had dreams of being a model. So I fell victim to some of the Model Search USA conventions, but never really knew where else to go from there. So I got hired in as a seasonal employee at Guess, a run-of-the-mill working the entrance position, folding clothes, basically doing all the work that none of the other employees wanted to do. One day, I was working the front, greeting people at the door. A man came up to me and started spitting out compliments about me and how I should get into modeling. I told him that I was trying to get into it, but I didn't know where to start. He mentioned to me that he does marketing for a swimwear line that has a contract to be sold on cruise lines, and he might be able to hook me up with a model line for the job. I responded with excitement because I've been waiting on an opportunity like this, and I felt validated by this guy. I gave him my number because I didn't have my phone on me at the time to save his contact. We weren't allowed to have our phones on in the store, which is also what I told him. So I took a break early to shake off the excitement and chat with a friend. As I began walking toward the food court, my cell phone rings. It's that man. I'm confused because I didn't expect to hear from him so soon. He says that he has a business proposition for me. He followed up with, "Would you let me please you for $500? I was shocked, confused, and responded with, I don't think so. He quickly threw another option out. "What if you just let me pleasure myself in front of you for $200? I reply with, "No thank you. Please don't call again." The scary part is he knew I couldn't have my phone on the floor because I told him I didn't have it on me to take his number down. Did he call because he watched me from that point on? Immediately after I walked back to work, I asked not to work the entrance and had someone walk me to my car afterward. Jeez, that's disgusting. You know, I actually didn't pre-read the story before reading it live right now, and I might not have started out with something like this that was kind of sexual or whatever, but nonetheless, it baffles me how guys think that a girl would be receptive to such things, just being so straightforward with all that sexual stuff. It's just disgusting and quite manipulative how he ended up getting this chick's number. But nonetheless, let me know what you guys think about this story in the comments below, and let's go on to another one. So this short story is called Watch Your Kids in the Stores. I'm young. I'm 30, so I'm kinda young. But I see this little girl at Walmart not too long ago, running around in the toy aisles. She must have ran past me 4 or 5 times, and every time she did, a man would be right behind her on her tail. For some reason, I could feel something was off. I stopped the little girl and asked her if she was lost. She said yes. I said, "This man isn't your daddy?" And with almost tears in her eyes, she looked at him and slowly looked back at me and said, "No." I grabbed her by the hand and told her we were going to go up to the front to have them call for her mommy. As the man was in her aisle, I gripped her a little harder when we walked past him and went to the front of the store. Walking right past the man, looking him straight in the eye, and he just kind of gave me this side smirk that, till this day, makes the hair rise on my entire body. Had I not stopped that little girl and brought her to the front to find her mom, I'm genuinely scared to know what would have happened to her. Jeez, that's disgusting. It's crazy how that guy actually had a smirk on his face over the incident, like he knew what sort of trouble he was potentially getting into. And he must have saw this other guy who was rescuing the girl as not much of a threat, because why else would he smile at him? There's some real creeps out there, man. So if you guys have kids, keep them close. That's definitely what I would do. And here's the last one for this video. It's called The Time I Was Almost Abducted by a Serial Killer. So let's see how it goes. In February of 2012, I went to visit my grandfather's grave for his birthday. His death was a really hard thing for me to deal with, as he had died in March of 2011 and was still very fresh to me. I was kneeling in front of his grave with my head down, mourning and crying, when my body went into full danger is close by mode. I looked up to see a man running full sprint from the woods surrounding the cemetery, and forced myself to get to my truck as quickly as possible without the man getting close to me. By the time I made it to my truck, he had gotten about 50 feet from me. I jumped in and locked the door. Much to his apparent displeasure, he threw his hands up in a huff, like his favorite team had just lost a football game. I started the truck and began driving out as fast as I could, but not before driving right past him. I didn't break eye contact for a second, and neither did he, so I got a really good look at his face. Cut to a few years later, I'm at work bored and decided to download an app that had a ton of paranormal, cryptid, serial killer, and UFO articles. As I was browsing through the serial killers, I came across one that made my heart skip a beat. Israel Keyes, most known for murdering an underage girl in Alaska, dismembering her body, and dropping the pieces into a frozen lake. He would bury kill kits in places long before he ever committed the crimes. After the incident in Alaska, he had traveled into Texas for a wedding in a city not too far from where I live, and had disappeared for a bit, and no one in his family knew where he was. He was arrested in that city and brought to the prison one city over from me before he was extracted back to Alaska to stand trial. About a year ago, I found a book about him that provided a lot of the details I have given here. He had been killing for years, and no one knows what the actual death toll is. He eventually killed himself in prison. At the end of the book about him, he described some of his favorite places to abduct people: public parks and cemeteries. I often wonder if there's a kid buried in those woods. You were fast, Israel, but I was faster, and I'm glad we didn't officially meet. Jeez, what a crazy story. I'm actually looking up this guy, and looks like he's a real serial killer, and he died back in 2012. Man, can you just imagine how, when you're out in public or whatever, you just never really know who's around you? Personally, I generally carry a means of protection in case I need to defend myself, and I live in a relatively safe town, but you just never really know. But let me know in the comments what you guys think about these stories, and what do you think about this format of video? There's actually a lot of stories I want to cover on here. There's so many crazy stories like this, and I would love to sift through some and post some interesting ones on this channel. So let me know in the comments what you think about that, and if you will, like this video and subscribe to the page for more haunting tales from the Iceman.